biggest failing in the horror genre, but many of its games tend to fall into, is an inability to maintain their atmospheres and scares. Players become more capable, the threats trivial, and in most cases, completely predictable. People are anything but predictable, especially when given anonymity to hide behind. They cheat, deceive, manipulate, and betray. They make the most of their advantages, take risks they wouldn't in real life, and are willing to do far more than their morality would allow. And even though it's technically not a horror game, it's why I'm adding Space Station 13 to this list. For everybody out there who's never even heard of it, Space Station 13 is a multiplayer sandbox game where players take on the roles of a crew of a space station, doing their jobs and keeping everything in order. However, some of the players are placed in the roles of antagonists, given objectives to murder, steal, destroy, and manipulate. Be them traitors, revolutionaries, or shape-shifting aliens hidden within the crew, death squads or aliens attacking the station, or something more wacky like murderous wizards, each round will see the crew surrounded by enemies they may never see, never meet, and never even know existed. What makes this game tense and outright scary at times is its unpredictability. Anybody around you could be a threat, could turn on you in any second, and end your life in an instant. Players can change their names and avatars with each new round, and steal identities during them. Players can manipulate every object that makes up the game's environments, to use as tools or weapons, to craft equipment, machinery, weapons and traps, to isolate their victims or help their crew. A game that plays as a co-op simulation for many becomes a tense thriller for the few. Space Station 13 is unique because it puts players into scenarios that fit so well into the horror genre. Be it that of a defender of the station, fending off the threat and protecting the crew, or the would-be victim being stalked through the station and watched by unknown assailants, or the killers themselves hunting their prey, murdering their enemies, hidden in plain sight, waiting, planning and biding their time. Mechanically speaking, Space Station 13 is an old and dated game built upon an even older engine, and it looks like crap, but its level of simulation is probably above and beyond any other game I could think of. They also do a lot with what they have that adds to the atmosphere in a lot of interesting ways. The game uses line of sight and environmental lighting to dictate how far you can see. Players can go deaf and blind, hallucinate, and even go insane. Death can come both quickly or slowly. Critical injury will leave you barely able to see the final moments of your life, along with whatever final horrors your killer has for you. The controls are clunky like many other horror games, forcing you to be deliberate in your actions when the risks are high. And I could sit here and explain in huge detail all of what awaits players in Space Station 13, but I won't. It's a genuinely difficult game to get into with a pretty huge learning curve. Plus the netcode isn't that great. But it does so much that other games don't do, including more specifically horror games. Each round is unique. Different players will approach things differently, and the game gives you huge amounts of options to deal with scenarios. The predictability that plagues most horror games simply isn't there, and the fear and paranoia of the other players sticks with you. Space Station 13 isn't to everybody's tastes. Almost everybody simply won't be able to handle its steep learning curve or the game's aged user interface. But for those of you who have the time and the patience to delve into this strange blend of genres, filled with danger and unpredictable characters, you're sure to have fun, get paranoid, kill, and be killed.